Hey, everybody, and welcome to the third annual WGCI Music Summit. It's your boy, the Destin Legend, Leon Rogers, and this is the final panel of the summit. And we've been dropping gems all month long from all types of industry heavyweights, and I got a few of them with me tonight. Tonight's panel is about getting heard. Learn all about marketing and promoting your music, streaming, and airplay, okay? So tonight's panel is brought to you by the Illinois Media School. If you're trying to have a career in media, make sure you visit them at www.beonair. All right, let's get to it. We've brought together some of the leading people in radio and streaming tonight to drop some gems. I'm going to start off first with my man, Tuma Basa. He's the director of Black Music and Culture on YouTube. Tuma, what's up?
What's going on? What's up? How are you?
Luke. My main man, J1, director of hip hop on Pandora. J1, what's happening?
What's happening, man?
Let's see the plaques on the wall, buddy. All right.
You like Jamal Smalls back
man, ain't snowing, right?
Come on, Jay, don't do that.
The PD, the 105.3, the Heat, my man, Louis V. What's up, Louis?
What up, man? How y'all?
Yes, sir. Of course, you see all the plaques in the background. Black Bottle Boy, mix on WGCI, my mans in them, and a veteran salute. Jamal Smalls, what's happening?
You feel me? You feel me?
Yes, sir. VP of Promotion at Interscope, Amir Boyd. Hello, sir.
I guess I'll take it. I mean, y'all speaking it into existence, so you know what I'm saying?
Hey.
I ain't gonna correct y'all because it's the only way it's happening.
I'm reading what they wrote.
We're gonna speak it into existence.
And last but not least, the queen of the panel. She's the Senior National Director of Promotion for Capitol Records, Miss Tamara Drake. Hello, Tamara. Hello.
Hi, Leon. How are you?
How are you?
How are you, sir?
Hey, man, this is going to be a fun tonight. So when I ask these questions, man, y'all just jump in, get in where you fit in. You know, if you want to tag on, add on, we're just really trying to give our listeners some knowledge because I believe a lot of our young Black brothers and sisters are underserved when it comes about getting into the industry. They don't know the ins and outs, and then they end up getting into some stuff that they're prisoners, you know what I'm saying? Or they don't know how to read contracts. So I'm glad you all are here to kind of drop some gems on them. So the first question, before we get too deep, can each one of you explain what your job entails? What do you do? And any artist you may work for? Let's start with Louis V.
So basically, I'm the program director for 105.3 The Beat out here in Atlanta, attached to iHeartRadio, of course. I just basically put everything together, everything you hear, a lot of reports, a lot of music, a lot of phone calls. On top of that, I'm a personality as well as a DJ on the station as well. So it's a lot of work.
Mr. Boyd.
I serving as the senior national for Interscope. Really, my role is to get records played, is to bug people like Johnny and bug people like Louis, and then support my staff. You know what I'm saying? So we got a pretty dope staff, and you know wherever they need help at, you know, serving as the national, that means you cover the whole map. So and some of the artists I'm working with currently are BRS Cash. He got a record called Go Baby. We got The Baby Blind. We got Ella May, she got a new record, K Camp, and last but not least, currently Moneybag Yo. Hopefully we'll have his number one record, his first number one record, coming in this.
J1.
So I'm currently the director of hip hop programming for Pandora. So I oversee all the hip hop stations and playlists on Pandora. I also program our Sirius XM station, Pandora Now.
All right, let's take it to my man Tuma.
Tuma Basa. I work at YouTube as the director of Black Music and Culture. That's working with the music programming department, the label relations, the artist relations, the originals department, the press, marketing, anything that has anything to do that touches Black music, and that's almost everything. Just making sure that everything's done right.
Miss Drake.
You know, Amir basically summed it up. We work in a similar capacity, and basically we help build artists through the platform of radio. So, you know, the urban platform, the urban AC platform, you know, our job is just to make sure that you are hearing the record as much as possible.
Jamal Smalls.
What up, Jamal Smalls? I'm a right hand to Johnny D, program director for 107.5 WGCI. Mix show director coordinate all the DJs, and yeah, break records.
No doubt. No doubt. All right, so let's get into it. J1, I'm gonna start out with you, and everybody else can piggyback on it, but I want to lead into this question, really you and Tuma, because it seems like y'all in that lane super heavy with if an artist asks you, what do I have to do to get paid for my streams, and how much do you get paid for your music stream?
So that's a very open-ended question. But I guess the main thing to do if you want to get paid, period, you should sign up with a distribution company, whether you're signed or not. And what I mean by that is like a City Baby, a TuneCore. There's so many of them out there, and basically what a distribution company will do is they'll upload your songs to the DSPs, whether it's a Pandora, Spotify, or whoever, but they'll also make sure that it tracks right and that you can get paid for your streams. Now, as far as like how much you get paid per streams, it depends on the streaming platform, and it depends on the type of streams. There's interactive and non-interactive streams. So interactive streams are like with on-demand streams. Basically, if I go to Pandora and I pick the song that I want to hear, that's basically an interactive stream. You're gonna get paid more for that. Non-interactive is like what you hear on Drake radio or like Future radio. You can't directly control what you're about to hear. It's more of a laid-back radio type experience. You get paid off of those streams, but you get paid less. And you need to make sure you signed up with Sound Exchange, and that's how you get paid off of digital radio streams like a Pandora or who else? Music Choice and several others. So, it's just something you need to do your research on. But basically, you want to sign up for a distribution company, sign up for Sound Exchange.
Yeah, I echo that. The distribution company is the most important because they handle, make sure you're listed as the rights holder and paid. But there's a few types of monetization. Like, okay, for YouTube, you have the main platform. Everyone knows how that works, where you get to a certain threshold and you can get paid for views, et cetera, et cetera. So that's one type of monetization. The type of monetization J1 was talking about on the subscription services, it's not user generated. It has to come from a distributor, and that's what the YouTube Music, Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, everyone does exact same system, where your distributor or your aggregator or your label is the one who basically uploads the metadata. Like, it's not just your song, the metadata, and then depending on how many times it's streamed, you get paid. But now there's another kind of monetization also on YouTube, and it became popular, or more popular, I should say, during COVID. And internally, we call it Altmon, which is alternative monetization, and that's people going on live streams and basically they're doing a live stream, and then people buy super stickers or little stickers or chat as an expression, fans expressing to their favorite artists, or merchandise, like selling merchandise on your platform, because live shows were canceled, right? So people got really creative. Like, how can I get paid for a performance when I can't do it in person? So, and then that's really popular overseas. It is starting to catch on in the States.
All right. So basically, you guys are saying that there's many ways to make income once you get inside, but the thing is, so what about attention? Do you have to draw that attention to you? Like, so I think one of the ones you were talking about, not necessarily what J1 was talking about with the Pandoras and the Titles of the world, but just like, say, an artist goes on YouTube and they have over 300,000 views in 2 weeks or something. Like, how does that work? How can they turn and monetize that? Do they still have to do the distribution thing, or is that something that they can monetize without necessarily going to a distribution?
Well, it depends if they were running ads over it, but it depends if they were running ads over it. But there are ways. There are companies now. There's actually a company, right? This is like, now I'm taking my company hat off a second. There are companies like Create, where if your music is catching on social media, they go and scrub all the places they identify you as the rights holder, and then they go and scrub all the places that it was placed, and you get paid. So it's incremental. It's all those, every little penny, they just add them all up. So if you're saying my eyebrows are on fleek, and then people, or you about to lose your job or whatever, and people turn it into a song, this company actually goes and finds all the places and makes a claim that, hey, this is the rights holder. But you have to make those, you have to sign up with a distributor or a company like Create, All
right. Anybody else want to add on to that before we move on?
I mean, I think we missed a spot, a place, something that needs to happen too. Like, you need to make sure you signed up to. Rights. Yeah. You can't just put a song out and then not be able to figure out where the money is coming from. So you need to be able to, sign up to one of the performing rights groups, and they keep track of where your money is going and who's playing your records and that sort of thing. So you'll be able to get some money out of it. So I think that's something that needs to happen prior to even posting your records or your music on any social platforms or any DSP for that matter.
Mr. Boyd, so and that what you just said, like how much can a young artist expect to pay for a service like that? Or is that something that they can go get information on for free? Or like, will they have to spend a little money to make a little money, as we say in the business?
I mean, I can't tell you exactly how much it costs to sign up for, CSAC or BMI or any of those. But I will say this, though. This is the music business. So if you're not investing in yourself, even if it's just not that, no matter what it is, like you're behind the black ball, like you're not even going to be able to get into this. Because, I want people to understand that this is the music business. So everybody is in the exchange of money or whatever the case may be. And you need to understand that as as an independent artist. Just because you're independent don't mean you can't have a major mind state. So you can be independent and think major. And you may not have the money that these majors have, but you may be able to, if you being able to make some money somewhere, you got to understand that scared money don't make none. And you're going to have to invest in yourself to keep making you make money. You know what I'm saying? Money just doesn't fall out the sky. You know what I mean? You got to put some money in to get some money back. And you got to treat it like, it's an investment. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Anybody else? All right, we're gonna move on. So the next question, this is open to everybody on the panel. Which is more important, to have my song played on the radio or have my song on a playlist or streaming big numbers on platforms like YouTube, Pandora, and other sites? Which one do you guys think carries a little bit more weight? Let's start out with Jamal Smalls first, DJ. The DJ's job is to break records, but there's different platforms to do it on now.
Well, one of the main things that we look for, or that I look for when I'm gonna play a record is there a movement behind it, and a lot of times those movements can't come from online, and you're not really limited. So, for instance, if you had a smaller budget, it could go a lot further online than it can if you were actually doing it traditionally, And if you're in your like, let's just say like in Chicago, you drop your promotion out here, I might hear about it and that's cool. But if you drop it online and it hits a wider audience, myself might hear, Louis V and J1 might hear about it, almost simultaneously, depending on how big that movement is. So I mean, I don't know if you can really say one is more important than the other. I think they work kind of together.
I agree. If I was an artist, I wouldn't put no music out nowhere at no radio station, nowhere if it wasn't up on the DSPs first.
Right.
Like Jamal said, and me and Tuma have had these conversations before. Like it's best when it all works together and it does like this. You know what I'm saying? But if you don't put your music on DSPs initially, right? Let's say you don't have your music and you got your music and you don't put it up on DSPs, but then you take it to the radio station and Jamal plays it and somebody's listening in the car and they don't know who you are, so they Shazam you and now they can't find their song, they can't find the song, you just missed out on some money. Mm-hmm. So I believe in not leaving no money on the floor. So the first thing I would do is make sure it's up on all DSPs. Now, the playlisting and all that kind of stuff, you know what I'm saying? That's a you know, a give and take type of thing, because we've seen records that come from radio and then they end up streaming, and then we've seen records that come from streaming to end up on radio. So it works both ways. But first and foremost, if you're talking about making some money, and it, you know what I mean, we're not talking about millions and trillions of dollars, but the fact that the cash register rings immediately when your song is on the DSP, if people want to hear it or whatever the case may be. That may not be the same for radio.
I think that they work hand in hand, like, you know, they've been saying, is that, you know, streaming is great, but radio also extends the lifetime of that streaming. Mm-hmm. So, you know, you can make a big splash in the streaming world and you get that immediate impact, but what's going to bring people back to listen to it? And that's where radio really plays an important role for really extending the lifespan of a song.
Yeah, I add on that. To add on to that. Oh, my bad. No, what?
Oh no, go ahead, bro.
Oh, I was just saying, like, just to add on to that, just like a prime example, like Amir was speaking about earlier, the BRS Cash song, like it was already streaming. It was popping out here in Atlanta. Like it was booming in Atlanta. Like there's nowhere you couldn't go where you didn't hear it. And one thing people, I think, kind of understand with iHeart, or if you don't understand, iHeart turns stars into like mega stars. So if we start playing it, then the record is huge. You know what I mean? So, or we're going to make it even bigger than what it is, to the point to where it's like, damn, like, when did this song come out? How long has it been, you know, streaming? Or how long has it been on radio? When actually it started from streaming. I agree, it does work hand in hand, but it has to start with one of them. And just to be perfectly honest with you, in my line of work, it starts from streaming before it gets to us, because once it gets to us, then it, just like Jamal said, we're looking at the movement behind it. You know what I mean? Like we're looking at what pushed it to get this far. For us to start playing it on the radio as a DJ, yeah, we'll play the record, we'll break the record here and there, but for us to actually put it in rotation, it has to be some type of movement behind it. And 9 out of 10 times in this world, it's coming from.
Hold on. I just want to make a point. I also think where you're at plays a very heavy role on that. It's like, you know, all of us who either lived in Atlanta or been to Atlanta know that records can start without streaming and without radio, or just in the clubs. And then you have people, you know, DJs and program directors who are very aggressive and have their ear to the streets and will play a lot of local records. You know, I mean, Jamal, you guys could speak more on Chicago, but you guys do a great job up there as far as supporting local artists. So I think it depends on the city where you're at. Does it have that infrastructure where you can break without being a major streaming artist? Like prime example, the most recent example, to do Money Move with that Hitting record. You know what I'm saying? Like he's been working that record for a long time in the city, and it's not just now starting to build up its stream. So I think you just have to be mindful of your situation and your environment, and do you have the infrastructure of what best route is best for you?
I think we spend too much time on where a record begins or is existing. There's back in the day, and it still applies to today, right? So I used to work at BET back in the day, and we used to get a video, and we would ask, "What's your story?" And they'd be like, "What do you mean story?" And at that time, story could have been BDS spins on the radio, it could have been SoundScan, it could have been mixtape, could have been so many things. But the story part has never changed. Story is, what is the journey? Tamara was talking about lifespans of records. What is the journey of the song? Where is the demand coming from? Is it coming from the clubs? Is it coming from the ladies? Is it coming from the streets? Is it coming from the church? Like, where is it coming from? So, right. So the story has never changed. And the platform that it happens that's just a matter of how easy it is to access. Right. So if the story is coming from a YouTube or a SoundCloud, or it's coming from WGCI, or it's coming, it doesn't matter. Is there's proof that people want it, and that's all we're asking for. Is like, give me the evidence that people actually want to hear this record, so we can further the shelf life of the record, like Tamara was saying. You know, so the story.
That's absolutely true. Like I was going to say, you know, to kind of go what Louis was saying, the Throat Baby record was in the clubs in December in Atlanta. So, you know what I mean? I'm one of the people who feel like records still come from the clubs. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
You know what I mean? You know, you know, if you outside, you know, okay, so if this record playing in this club, and you could probably make a run, probably like depending on the market, you can make a run in 5 different clubs, and you keep hearing this same record, a good DJ is gonna go back to his program director and say, yo, I was hanging out, this record was playing blah, 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 and I saw blah, 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 blah.
It's on video somewhere.
Yeah. Not to cause controversy, but certain records start from the club. There's a lot of kickback records. There's a lot of records that, you know what I mean, that wouldn't work in a club.
Absolutely. No, you're absolutely right.
Also, COVID.
Yeah, but it goes back to what you said, Tuma. Like you said, the story don't change. It's just the platform that changed. Yeah. Right now, we're in a digital world, so it's gonna be 9 out of 10 times streaming or something from Instagram or something from.
All we did was really just find another way to, you know, quantify demand. Like you know, whether it's requests from the DJ booth or whether it's streams. Like all we are storytellers. We're all trying to tell the story about why this song is relevant, why people want to hear this song. And, you know, streaming is great because it gave us a very quantifiable metric, but it was one of many. And we can't forget that part of it, that, you know, there's all these different dynamics to it.
And social media.
I was gonna say, Tuma, COVID don't apply in Atlanta. We've been.
You ain't lying, G.
They never closed.
It's still start from the club in Atlanta.
Atlanta been on stage. I don't give a fuck since
they had a
still breaking records from the club.
They had a tank riding in the parking lot. I said, man, Atlanta lit. I got to get down there. This is like.
You know, we don't need no more out of towners out here, man.
Yeah. I still run shit in Atlanta clubs, Miami clubs, and Dallas and Houston, wherever they open at. I'm still out there, you know, making that shit happen. So, but Tuma's right. It depends on the record. Every record don't come from the club. Every record that comes from the club don't sound on the radio, and vice versa. But like you said, though, it just moved. You know what I mean? That's what's really been dope about the music industry. I feel like we all had to pivot real quick and figure something else out. And it didn't handicap us in a sense, right. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, you know, people still making money.
No doubt. All right, man, let's keep it going. So I get this question a lot from artists in the streets when they run up on me. They be like, hey, why do the radio stations only play big artists and never play local artists the same way they play the big artists?
This is a business.
I mean, because again, I think that's market. I think that depends on the market. Yeah. I think a city like Atlanta, a city like Memphis,
we play local. Yeah. But by the time like I say, but when we get it, you know what I'm saying? It's out of here. It ain't something like I can't honestly say like, yeah, it's a lot of records that we would like to play from the ground, but like everybody said on this call, like it has to be a movement behind it. And even in this pandemic, you know, even though Atlanta, I guess, is excluded, I don't know, but it's kind of just, it's just different now. You know, it's the music business in general. Like you said, everybody had to pivot. The same rules don't apply. So, you know, we can't throw just a local record on the radio and say, we're going to run this shit 20 times, 15 times. Like, it don't work like that. But if you got something pushing behind it, then it can be recommended for it to be done. I mean, again, that's how the BRS Cash record got to where everybody's seen it. It was building. Look how long it took to build, like 6 to 7 months. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the part people want to skip. They want to skip the process and just get it on and just start. It don't work like that. You know what I mean? Everything's a process.
Even if they did play your record, you're a new artist, and they played your record 20 times a day and nobody don't know who you are, it doesn't serve you any purpose. Like that. Then that R word comes around and you're out of it.
Wait, what's the R word? I'm lost.
Research. I always like to use this analogy, like even in the clubs, when the DJ plays an unfamiliar record, the whole energy and the vibe of the party goes down. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing with radio. It's like, if you're listening and you hear something that's unfamiliar, and it could be from an artist that's known, you know, people are either going to say, what's that? Or they're going to change the channel. And when they change the channel, You know, any DJ, program director, or sales manager is going to tell you that costs money, that costs revenue. So
I mean,
it's not about, you know, oh, they not showing love.
Right.
Like Louis said, it's business.
Business.
The radio is not in the business of playing music. The radio is in the business of playing advertisements. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, that's the quote of the night right there. We need that on the screen right there.
Pin that. I always try to tell the young ladies and gentlemen, I always say, listen, your song, can it knock out this song by Beyonce? Can it knock out this song by Drake? Let's go up the list and see, can you beat anybody? Not in your mind, be objective. If I really play these two songs, are you gonna beat any of these songs? Well, then that's why it's not getting played yet. Okay. When you get something like a King Von Crazy Story 2.0 that everybody is singing in the club, or Meek Mill Dreams and Nightmares, okay, that bumps some of that because it's like, oh, that's lit. You know, everybody listen to it. Right. So it's tough for them though, but I can understand being an artist, how you feel you're on to something going, you got a movement, or so to speak, but in you guys' eyes, because y'all been professionals, y'all been doing this, you be like, okay, you got a buzz, but we ain't gonna say it's a movement yet. You know what I mean?
I take something.
I think it's also you got to respect the process, though, right? Like you got to start. You know, even for our, you know, we represent major artists, but we still start with the mix show. You start with the DJ, then you start, you know, looking for an entry point of getting your music played. You can't expect to go into power rotation and to hear your record. Like it's about the story. I mean, I think that's going to be the common theme through all of that. Is like, what story are you building? And what story are you building to tell the decision maker at the station that they need to be playing your record more and more because they want to play whatever is going to keep the ears on the station.
Yeah. And one thing Bill Black used to say all the time, like, if the record is that good, it'll get to me.
Yeah.
Shout out Bill Black.
You know what I'm saying? Shout out Bill Black. If whatever that record is, if it's that good, it'll get to us.
This is a perfect segue into the next question. Well, Louis and Tamara and everybody on the panel, what do you say when they come up and say this? They like, look, I got money, but I heard it's illegal to pay somebody to play my music. Is this true?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I just, you know, I tell them I'm just here so I don't get fined. You know,
I'm just here. So I don't get
on.
Yeah, that's what you could.
I didn't had that happen to me numerous times. I've been like, hey, bro, whatever it is you trying to give me ain't what these people with this heart over my head giving me. So I'm gonna have to say no.
It ain't worth it, man. It ain't worth it.
I said, you ain't got it. I swear to God, you ain't got it. I said,
hey, Leon, for real though.
I swear to God, you ain't got it.
When they do approach me with that, you know, a lot of times I just recommend that, you know, you take that same energy and put it into your music, put it into your movement, because it's gonna do you better. It's gonna be more long. You know, it's gonna last longer. You know what I'm saying? And if it's hot, I'm gonna run it. I'm gonna be at you anyway. We're gonna get it.
Exactly. We're gonna get it.
I think J1 said something earlier that was key. He said infrastructure. Mm-hmm. A lot of times artists don't even know what that means. That means you need to hire somebody to have these conversations.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? You need to hire somebody to do marketing for you. You need to hire somebody to do promotions for you. You need to hire somebody to do digital marketing for you. And that way you taking yourself out of the conversation, and the people that you hiring know how to have these conversations where it don't seem so crazy and belligerent, you know what I mean? As a, yo, can I do this? Like, come on, man. Like, try to learn the game.
Instances where people gonna pull up, and let's just keep it 1,000 and have that budget on them in the club. Like that's just like that. It don't work like that. Like somebody just gonna pull up and be like, look, I got this. Let's like it. First of all, you ain't gonna pull up to the club with that and talk to me about that anyway. Like that just don't work. Like so that doesn't make sense. You know what I mean?
I'm just saying, I'm not a DJ on the station. I'm Ron Burgundy. I read the screen. You feel me? Put my little jazz on it. But I had cats coming up to me like, Leon, right here, man. Hey, look, I got the used Porsche dealership. I get you a Panamera, man. Put 5 racks in the thing. I said, bro, can I drive it just a little bit just to see what it'd be like? Let me think about it. But then I think about that little heart. I'd be like, man, that little heart been good to me these past 15 years. Nah, I'm straight, man. I can't do it. But it is something that comes up. And I think a lot of young artists really believe that that's the way to get your music on the air. You know what I'm saying? And they got to get that from somewhere. That just ain't come out the blue. Now let's keep it 100.
Yeah, nah,
Yeah, I mean,
all they gotta do is get hot. Like, just get hot.
yeah,
Like,
there's so many outlets. You don't really need to walk up to nobody with that type of conversation. There's so many ways that you can get hot right now. Like for real.
trust me, if you get hot, the label gonna come find you.
I'm looking for you.
Radio
It's
station
your
gonna come
job to
find you.
make the label come find you. Absolutely. Like that is.
That's hard to tell that the Snowman Jr. though, that's been out here for 5 years.
Snowman
I'm trying to change my
But
life.
Snowman Jr. doesn't want to waste his money though either. Like again,
Snowman
like
Jr.,
But real quick,
help me out these streets.
I think you guys should explain research, because I think there's still the misconception like, okay, like if I get my song played on the radio and it gets played 100 times, people are gonna hear it and I'm gonna be good. But I don't think most people understand how research works.
Yeah, that don't work like that at all.
So if y'all want to explain it, you know,
I mean, you used to be a program director.
Yeah.
You still got the PD. I still got your PD email, bro.
Right. I got research this week. I'm like doing this right now.
Okay, so the reason why everybody on this panel is saying have a story and people should be familiar with your song, because like every radio station is going to does something called research, and basically we're just going to play 15 to 30 seconds of a song, and it's usually the hook, and we send it out to listeners who are the most dedicated listeners to the station. And it's real simple. Either they're familiar with the song or they're not familiar with the song. If they're not familiar with the song, then that song doesn't even get you don't even go to the next question. It counts as unfamiliar, which is bad. Then if you say, okay, I'm familiar with the song, do you like the song? On a scale from 1 to 5, if you get a 1, which is the worst possible score you can get, and they average it out between 150 people, and that research comes in at the bottom, any program director, music director, or whoever, they're gonna look at that research. After the first or second time, you might get 2 batches of research out of it. They're gonna look and say, it ain't working, I'm moving on to the next one, because real estate is very tight in radio. There's only so many spots that you can play records and stuff like that. So if you got a bad record that's taking up that spot and it's not performing or it's not trending upwards, it's coming out.
Quick one, has there ever been and real quick, I just want to ask this, has there ever been a time where the research was flawed? Maybe at this point in time that song wasn't hidden, and then you come back around and
all the time
doing this.
All the time.
I can give the answer to that right now. One record that it just did that, and it wasn't flawed, but can you believe Icy? Icy, the research, right after the battle, gone, out of here, that fast, like that.
Wow.
Yeah, like it's went crazy. You know what I'm saying? So it could be stuff like that where you ain't heard a record in a minute, or it could be something that just didn't test well, and then out of the blue, just like that.
Can I talk about some unofficial research?
Yes, by all means, because we don't want people to think that you can just build a house with a hammer.
Yeah. Oh yeah, exactly. So basically, something else that's gonna happen is the direct-to-fan platforms like YouTube, like SoundCloud, like social media, like people are gonna look. Program directors, DJs, playlists, they do their own type of due diligence, their own type of vetting to see if something's real. Right. So and the realness comes from the engagement. It's not from jacking up. There's so many little scams on the internet, and even scammers like pay me and I'll get you on this playlist. There's so much scamming going on the internet right now. Right. Avoid that and stick to the real. Build like what you're talking, Amir, building a hammer with a house. Build your house upon a rock, not on the. I hate to sound like a preacher, but like on the sand. Because what happens is there's like an art to that. There's an artfulness to that, and in the long run pays off, because there's just too much scamming and manipulation of jacking of platforms and fake followers and fake streams, and because all of that stuff gets found out and then just vacated, like literally. There's fraud departments on all these platforms. They vacate that shit, you know?
I just think as human beings, we need to learn how to be patient and trust the process. I know it sounds corny. Be patient, trust the process. Same way with this pandemic. Be patient, trust the process, stay your ass in the house. We lowered the rates. You're a music artist, keep grinding, keep your head down. Then you look up one day, you're in the same room with the people you were idolizing. Because personally, I remember first seeing the baby walking around in a diaper. And I said, man, what's wrong with this dude? This dude crazy. But then I started following him because that scene walking down the street, I said, man, dude is nuts. But then I was like, oh, when he got the rolling, I was like, hey, this is the dude that I saw at South by Southwest walking around in a diaper. This is crazy. So I think artists got to trust the process, man. And some of these questions here, I think you guys answered about the easiest way to get your music played on the radio, Pandora, YouTube. And how can you get a record label to notice their music if they do not have a huge social media following? Because that seemed like you guys you said they'll come find you if if your record is hot. But what if you don't have?
I think it has a lot to do with your network.
Okay.
Like, are you networking? And nobody's not saying, I mean, of course, a lot of these people out here, they buy followers. You know what I mean? Nobody's not looking for that. And what's authentic these days? See what I'm saying? So I don't think it's your following that we're concerned about. We do want to see you doing work though. So if you one of these, like it's a lot of artists like, okay, let's just say Roddy Ricch. Like these guys was pushing their music heavy, doing all of this stuff. And then when they get on, they just get ghosts, which is perfectly fine. That's their thing. You know what I mean? But you can't be a new artist looking to come in like that. That kind of, that kind of hurt you. You know what I'm saying? You got one picture up, one video up, but then you trying to sell us on what you do. How is that possible? Like, well, where's the proof? You know what I mean? Where's the process? Where's the journey? How can we use that to our advantage?
I mean, social media is basically a way to build your brand. Like it is how you tell your story. Again, talk about telling stories, but content is king. You have, companies like NBC that are not considered TV companies, or they're not movie companies anymore. They're content companies. Like, so it is your job to create. In the process of that creation, you can't, sidestep it because that's part of building your brand. Like if you want the organic process of building your brand, that's what emerges. You get to see, social media also offers you this opportunity to see what works, what doesn't work, how to double down on that. Like you're missing out on too much data, and data is another thing,
data.
People are paying for data, and now you have your own platform to gather this data. You got to be able to use that and fine tune it to like really tailor your presentation so that when the time is right, the label will see exactly who you are and know what to do with you.
Yeah, because engagement is well determined if you stick or not, if you're connecting or not. It also, that feedback will let you know what works for you, what works for your audience. You know who your audience is. It's easier to tell your story when it's time to tell your story to a bigger audience, because you know exactly who you are, right? Because of that engagement. And what Tamara was saying about the content, something that I live by is something I learned years ago. A mentor said, context changes content. So a lot of that engagement, you're creating context around your content. So you're not just uploading a video, you're creating energy. Like, hey, this video means a lot to me because I shot it on the day before I lost my uncle, who taught me how to ride a bike. And this whole thing is about riding bikes, et cetera, et cetera. So it now has meaning. And now there's like some energy. It's like eventfulness. You're creating an appointment. It's not just an upload. What's that? You're just uploading a song or whatever? No, nobody cares. You have to make people care. And that comes from engagement. That comes from showing a piece of you vulnerable, etc. It's energy transfer. Is when you're making your music, whether it's a sad song or a love song or like a song, is you're putting that on your record, but now delivering your record, right? Is you have to have keep that same energy. That's what they say on the internet.
That's real.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, man. What's the best way, Jamal Smiles, I'm gonna throw this to you and Louis V. What's the best way you can get a DJ to play your music?
Don't aggravate us.
Have your sister come bring the record.
Come on to the
Like,
DJ
have her
booth,
bring the
1:30,
record.
2 o'clock in the morning when it's
Yeah.
peak time. Like, come on, man. Nah.
Come
Go ahead, Jamal.
early.
Go ahead, Jamal. What's that?
I mean, if you're talking about in a club, I would say come early. You
Yeah.
know, get there at the time where it's less abusive to our reputation. Should your record not be as hot as you think it is?
Right.
If I put that in the correct term.
But wait a minute, Jamal.
And deal with the DJ.
I have a problem with that statement that you're telling these young people that you two are headlining DJs. Ain't no early for y'all. Y'all closing the set.
Honestly, I was honestly say build with the DJ. You know what I mean? Like it's okay. That way we can give you the honest feedback before you come to the club. You know what I mean? We can go ahead and end that or begin that early. You know what I'm saying? If you try to build and be like, look, man, because I know now, of course, we get a lot of links in DMs. You know what I'm saying? People want to tag you in their music. But if you really come and you build with a person, maybe you might know the DJ's friend. You know what I mean? And it's just like, yo, I don't want you to play this right now, but can you at least just listen to it and give me some feedback from your perspective? You know what I mean? I always tell people, study the crowds. If you don't have a song that can be played after 1 o'clock, don't bring it.
And that goes back to engagement.
That's real.
That's
like, don't bring it.
That's relationship.
That's just the, because at 1 o'clock, 9 to 10 times, if you a real good DJ, at 1 o'clock, from 1 o'clock to the time to close, you playing hits. Nothing but bang.
What Amir and I really do is we manage relationships.
Yeah.
You know, like that's really what all of this comes down to, is that people work with people that they like. That's across the board, that's any industry. And so if you just come and you're just looking for something for yourself and you're not looking to find a way to build a rapport with somebody, like you've missed out on an opportunity to have that relationship, but B, just the insights that you get from it. And it is a skill that you've got to use over, and any successful artist has a slew of relationships across many different, streams, and that's necessary for success. And the artists who are short-lived have not managed those relationships well, typically.
And it goes back to between what Tamara and Louis V are saying is the reason they have relationships is because they're going to have other records, right? There's that confidence. And that's why you relate with them, because they're not going to spam you. They're not going to annoy you. They're not going to blindside you or bombard you, right? And when it comes to the engagement part, it's the same thing. You're building a relationship with your audience. You don't spam them. If you don't like over and over repeat, you create something new and say, hey, if this doesn't work at this point, I got something else that will. And when you have that kind of confidence, people mess with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Louis V said something. He said something that Bill Black said about records coming back. When I was music director, that was the thing for me. Like you could come talk to me on music day, and then if your record, I thought it was dope, and it came back to me another way, I call it the boomerang effect. Like whether I heard it in the club or I heard it on some mixtapes or I heard it somewhere else, or I pulled up at the gas station, I heard somebody else playing it. Those are the kind of things that would make me say, okay, let me pay a little more attention to this record. And to touch on to what Tamara and both Tuman was saying, like, yo, these relationships, like, I think the best way, obviously, yeah, you want to have your own relationship, but you kind of need somebody else in there to get the Louis V, to get the Jamal Smalls, to get the Johnny. Like you gotta have some kind of team of infrastructure or something, because you're not gonna know all of this stuff. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you're an artist. You know what I mean? You're a new artist. Basically, you trying to learn the business. In the process too, you need to gather your relationships, and the best way to do that is have somebody who already got those relationships established.
Like Tuman said, stay away from them scams, man.
Yeah.
I would also tell young artists out there, you got to have a little thick skin too. Because in this business, as a stand-up comedian, I can't tell you how many times I done heard no. Can I get on the stage here? Can I get on the stage there? No. It wasn't because I wasn't funny. It's just that it wasn't my time to do that yet. So when you hear no, you can't get mad and be like, oh, F the industry is trash. Like, you talk to two people, now you mad at the world. Like, you got to have a thick skin when you ask for critique. I always ask people, you want me to sugarcoat it or you want me to tell you the truth? Which one you want? I give you whatever you want. You say sugarcoat it, I'm going to say it's the best song I ever heard. Send you on your way. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, real quick, I was just gonna say, don't negate the gatekeepers. You know, you might not be able to get to a Louis or a Johnny or a Tuma, you know, but talk to their DJs, talk to, you know, their assistants and everything like that. Because I remember, you know, when I was a program director, I relied heavily on my DJs and my APD and my music directors, because, you know, they were out in the streets more than I was, you know. So like, if they're bringing me a record, if I'm hearing about it from ears that I trust, you know, I'm more likely to pay attention to it than you just telling me about it. And you might not be able to get to the head person, but, you know, try to talk to those gatekeepers who have the head person's ear.
Yeah. And to kind of just piggyback off that, like, I'm coming from where I used to be the person outside of Atlanta and getting the records late and hearing about them later. Now being in Atlanta, you see where it builds, you see where it starts from, you see where it's coming from. Like those like Amir said, you start paying attention to records differently. You kind of get what I'm saying, because you're in the place where they're beginning. You know, it's not the same anymore. People are not just coming to you word of mouth. Now it's like, yo, it's somebody that you trust that watched this process start from the bottom or see where it's going. You know, like J1 was saying, like, you trust your DJs. You know, I'm not in every spot, but, you know, I got DJs on the station that could tell you all the most hood trap songs ever. And them be the ones now that just popping. You know what I mean? I couldn't tell you, but, you know, I trust them because they've brought me records before that actually pop. So it just makes more sense. You know what I mean? Like I say, that gatekeeper, that's important. That's important.
All right, let's move on. As a new artist, is it a smart move to hire a radio promotions company to take their music to the radio, or is it better that they do it themselves? I heard you all speak on that a little bit earlier. I think Amir spoke to it. You need to hire marketing.
You're a gatekeeper.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all about what you can afford, right? Like, and if you can afford to have somebody, an expert working with you, I think it always behooves you in every capacity to gain that expertise. And I think a lot of times there's other ways to get it as well, though. You know, like, if you can't get the information yourself, then finding ways to align yourself to work within organizations where you get a chance to network with those people and build those relationships yourself, to go out to events, to, you know, engage with radio is, you know, a great way to do it if you can't do it. But it's always great if you can have an expert who can guide you through the process, who can help you develop a strategy, because what you ultimately want to do is move from in your city to outside of your city. And so, you know, you can have somebody, you can build that relationship in your city, but now it's time to go to Indianapolis, and now it's time to go to Detroit. Now it's time to go to these other markets, and you know, you got to start the whole process over. So that is one of the things that a professional allows you. It allows you a pathway to growth.
And anybody in this position, I mean, J1, anybody, you know, I take a phone call about a record from Amir and Tamara before an artist tell me he downstairs knocking on the door. You gotta get what I'm saying. But if they call, you know what I'm saying? Like, all right, cool, this is what's going on. All right, I pay attention to it. This makes sense. But for somebody just downstairs beating on the door trying to get you, you know what I mean? That doesn't make sense. But again, that's that gatekeeper conversation. You got to have these people in position, because our relationships are built within. And then they tell us what's going on the outside, and then we build. You know what I mean? But I will take these phone calls and these conferences and things like that with the people that I trust that already brings me great records. It just makes more sense.
I think you also have to, like, determine if you're ready for that stage yet, because that's a big step, you know what I'm saying? And that's a budget, you know what I mean? So, like, yes, you want to have that professional when you get to that level, but if you're still building your story, like Tuma said, or you're still working on your engagement, you know, if you're still in the baby steps, you might want to wait for that instead of saying, well, I got this budget and I'm a hire somebody, but you're not ready for that. Because again, it comes back to your record being ready to go into radio and being ready for that research process that we talked about earlier. So I think you just have to make sure that the timing is right before you get into that sort of situation.
Great.
Tuma, I want to expound on something you said earlier about the content and the context and having the energy behind it and stuff.
Yeah.
Now we were just talking about artists when is it considered, from you guys' opinion, because you guys deal with this all the time, when is it considered an artist is going hard? When does that turn into an artist is doing too much? Because some might look at the Baby and the Pampa and was like, man, Buddy's doing too much. But me, I thought it was hilarious and quite creative. Then when I heard his music, I was like, oh, okay, he can actually rhyme. So how, as an artist, do you draw that line of not bugging Amir, not bugging Tamara, not bugging that one, not bugging Louis? Like, where's that line?
I think that's a balancing act, and I think it goes back to something you said. What do you want? The truth, and surrounding yourself with people who will tell you the truth. Because the bigger you become, the more successful, right? The more people get scared of lose their place or their social standing with you. So is surrounding yourself with people who don't feel like a insecurity about their status with you, right? Is they feel like they can be honest and give you great feedback. So part of the balancing act is getting those soundboards, that your immediate circle, like, yo, now are we crossed the line? Is this too much? Are we pushing it? Or do we need to balance this out? Is this too gimmicky? Or is this too, you know what I mean? Like, because there are, what you're talking about is stunts and theatrics. That's a part of the game. But what happens is when that outweighs the actual substance or the product or overshadows, right? The way that, especially as you get bigger, the way that you know is having a team that has your interests at heart, and that you have not trained them to become yes men and yes women. Mm-hmm. So I think that a lot of that has to do with your relationships, the closest relationships, and they're the ones who tell you, like, come on, bro, this is now you're going. You know what I mean? I always check with my wife before I post something on social media. You know why? Because I'm not trying to get in trouble, right? What do you think of this?
I would have lost my job several times if I hadn't had her proofread some of the stuff I was about to say.
So if something's borderline, that's just personal. That's personal. I'm not an artist or anything like that. But the people that you surround yourselves with, the people you trust, that you feel like they're going to tell you the truth, and they're going to keep a clean slate because they care about you, not care about their benefits.
Y'all hear that? Put yourself in with a pack of coattail pullers, not coattail riders. Big difference. Let them pull them coattails, keep you in check. All right, y'all. Last couple of questions, man. We're going to get up out of here. In the world of streaming, how do you all determine which record get added to a playlist and featured on YouTube? How's that determined?
So about YouTube,
it said, the question states, it reads, in the world of streaming, how do you guys determine which records get added to the playlist or featured on YouTube, Pandora, Spotify? Is it a numbers thing? Is it the height volume behind it?
That sounds like a J1 question.
Why it gotta be my question? I follow your blueprint, brother.
No, you go ahead. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, it's like it's similar to radio in more ways than you think. It you know, if a record's not ready to go on a certain playlist, then it's not going to perform. Just like how radio has research, we have a lot of data on the streaming side. We can tell when people don't like a record. We can tell when people are skipping a record. So, you know, everybody thinks, yo, I want to get on your biggest playlist, but you might not be ready for that big playlist. And it could hurt you more than it can help you. Because again, we put you on that playlist and you're doing, you know, 100 to 200,000 streams a week, but it's not performing. You know, again, it's about that real estate, and we're going to pull you off. And when that happens, your analytics go from getting 200,000 streams a week down to like maybe 1,000 streams a week, and you're gonna look crazy. So I always like use the analogy, playlisting is almost like a restaurant and stuff like that. So if I go to McDonald's and they offer me pizza, I'm gonna look at them crazy because I didn't go to McDonald's for that. I went there for fries or whatever. I ain't go there for pizza. It's the same thing with playlisting. If I have a playlist called Today's Hip Hop and R&B Hits, people are going there for the hits. They're not necessarily going to hear like a new artist or developing artist. Now there's playlists for that as well. So, you know, it really just depends on your situation. You gotta have that story. You gotta have that engagement. So that's where like radio and streaming overlap. You still gotta put in the work. And then, you know, Tuma will tell you there's tools on every streaming platform that you can use as an artist that you can, you know, some are free, some you got to pay for, that you can control your own destiny and build up your own analytics without waiting for somebody to playlist you and stuff like that. And I tell all artists, take advantage of that, because if you build yourself up on my platform, I'm gonna take notice of that, and then you force my hand. I'm gonna have to put you somewhere because you built it up without me.
Anybody else want to add on to that?
Come on,
I
Tuba,
think-
drop some gems, man. I want to hear your gems.
No, well, because the thing is, this is so it's so relative, you know, and it's so relative. But I agree with J1 is utilizing all those tools, especially nowadays. You have so much more data than before, so you know where you stand, right? You know how something is doing. You know when to pivot, right? Like not to quit, but to pivot when it's like time to like change gears, like maybe try a different song or move on to a next album, because like, this is straight economics, right? All right. So every radio person, DJ programmer has something called a burn, right? Burn is straight economics. It's the diminishing, it's called diminishing marginal satisfaction. If I eat an ice cream cone, the first time it tastes great. The second time, the second ice cream cone doesn't taste as good as the first ice cream cone. The third ice cream cone doesn't taste as good as the second one. The fourth ice cream cone might make me sick, right? You
Like
burnt
Future and his baby mamas.
yeah, they were. You say
Man, I'm a
Look,
comedian. Forgive me. I'm sorry. I couldn't let that pass. Ha, it's a joke.
So these things that you actually learn in school, you can apply to your records as well, right? Is and that's why I say school does matter. It doesn't, you don't have to, but it does matter, because basically you say, oh, wait a second, this is this. So now you can actually look at your numbers. You're like, oh man, you know what I need to work on? I need to get more of that thumbs up button on YouTube. I need to get more of this, because you're actually analyzing. You're making game plans. You're strategizing. You're thinking about the big picture, not just like your moment, etc. And you make good decisions. And you know, that's it. That's all.
All right. Now, what if an artist has a video or song out on YouTube? How can they get more viewers? And also, what does YouTube pay if your music gets a lot of views?
We already talked about
I'm reading what they wrote. I was told not to divulge from the script. That's the script. Say it again, damn it. If they ain't here, there's some new people in here.
There's so many factors on how you get paid and what you get paid. If it's on the main platform, whether they're running ads on, if they're skipping ads, if the ads are running in Vietnam or in the United States, there's so many different variables that go into how much you get paid and for views. I'm not even the right person to talk about those. You know what I mean? That math, but is yeah. This is a lot.
The J1 question.
And then on the subscription side is flat rates, and that has a lot to do with whatever arrangement you have with your distributor. In the comments, people were talking about DistroKid and TuneCore, and think is it doesn't cost a lot of money to get on those platforms, but they're gonna take a cut. Like, you know, just do your research, on how much you're giving up, you know, to get distributed by these guys.
All right, before we get out of here, man, I want everybody to just give me 30 seconds, 40 seconds of gems for our listeners who've been lighting up the chat the whole time we were here with links to their music and everything else, man. We appreciate them for being here. So we're going to close out. I'm going to start with you, Louis V, and we're going to end with the Queen. All right, you know, so we're going to say the best to last. Louis, man, drop some gems on these people out here, big bro.
I would honestly say just know what your end goal is. You know what I mean? If you're gonna become an artist, if you're gonna be in this music business, like Amir said, this is a business. So anytime you go into business, you need to know what your end goal is. You need to know what you're gonna be doing. What's the point of you doing it? Just don't be dropping music just for the sake of because you got one hot song. What's the follow-up? You know what I'm saying? What who can you honestly build with to get an honest opinion with? And like J1 and everybody else said, make sure you're ready for that. You know, this doesn't just come with just clicking a button and sending somebody a link. Actually have your ducks in order, have everything the right way. So when we do ask these questions that you've asked on this call and that everybody on this call have answered, you have your stuff together. You know what I mean? We don't have you're not gonna make yourself look stupid to us. And that's no knock to anybody, but just know what your end goal is. You know what I mean? Don't put yourself out there if you're not ready.
Amir?
Man, get you a team, yo. Like, I believe teams work. I had an artist tell me the other day that she was like, she don't have no team. She not gonna get no team. She know everybody. She know all the DJs in Atlanta. She know all the program directors. And I was just sitting there like, you starting off backwards. Because if you feel like you're gonna do, if anybody is out here talking about they did it by themselves, they a whole lot.
Crazy.
So get you a team, you know what I'm saying, and get some people that there's like Tuma said, it's not gonna be yes men or yes women to you. Like, get some people that's gonna keep it a buck with you, and learn the business. You know what I mean? Every time somebody's doing a panel like this, there's gonna be something in there that relates to you. So sign up and listen up and just be a student of the game and believe, I tell artists too, don't give up. Like, if you think, this is what you want to do, this is something you're passionate about, don't give up. But I think the most important thing that I want to tell people is get you a team. Like, you can't do this by yourself. You know what I mean? You need some people that know how to do some stuff. You need some people that have managed something. It doesn't necessarily have to be another artist. Maybe they managed CVS. They would be a good artist manager if you empower them. So, make sure you got a team.
J1.
Have a plan. Don't spend all your money making a record or trying to look like what an artist should be like and don't have any money left over to either build your team or invest in marketing. You can have the highest record in the world, but if it's not going anywhere, it's not getting into the right people's hands, or you didn't invest in some sort of digital marketing, it's not gonna be worth anything. So, look at what you're investing your money in, and again, have a plan. A lot of people are just putting music out there and say, well, I'm gonna see what happens. You know what's gonna happen? Nothing if you don't have a plan. So that's my last bit of advice.
Tuma.
I believe the music industry is a people business. So, and music is a social product. Build your social skills. We know you have talent. You're working on your talent. At the same time, be able to get along with people. Get along with your team. Make your team root for you, not work for you. Root for you. They want to see you win, right? That even when it's hard times, they're rooting. You can make your plugs, all your contacts, the root for you, right? Is because you have the mutual respect. You are realizing this is another person, et cetera, and even the way you make your music is like, I want people to really feel this because that's real people who are going to be listening to it. So and when you master that, even your ops will root for you. They'll be like, oh, he's doing it for the city. Oh, he's doing it for Black people. Oh, he's doing it for mankind or for the Democratic Party or whatever, whoever you're doing it for. You know what I mean? So the thing is this. So don't overlook the power of relationships and the power of people while you're in this music game and in your dreams, etc.
Jamal Smalls.
I'm gonna say, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon, and you got to respect that process. All of these things will fall into place. All the information that you got today, you'll be able to apply that, understanding that it's not like, like you said, come up to the club and play my record right now, without even trying to develop a relationship or trying to, understand that there's more to it than just, even if I did play your record, well, what is everything set up, for you to be able to benefit from me playing your record, or even at the radio station, if I play the record, are you set up? There's something called an ISRC code that a lot of people don't understand what that is, and they'll come to me like, yo, can we get my record on in your 5 o'clock mix? And you haven't done the work, the preparation in order to be available. If I was to say, yeah, I could drop that, give it to you, but you're not ready. And if I tell you that, have that thick skin, have that team, that's where those relationships come into play, where they can filter that day and be able to tell you, Nah, he's not saying you whack. He's not saying that you're not ready, like you're not ready. But yeah, bro, you're not ready. You don't have all the items in place in order to be able to take advantage of these benefits. So hopefully I answered your question.
Last but not least, Miss Tamara Drake.
I think that you got to remember that as much information that you learned here, like you got to build your base first. Like you got to be your friend's favorite rapper. You got to be your block's favorite rapper. And if that block is even virtual, like if it's, in social media or online or wherever that is, it is all these circles that get larger and larger and larger, but it starts off with your base. And that's part of the storytelling. And that's part of getting the people to root for you. And that's part of getting the knowledge to, get the opportunity to have conversations as you get that buzz, to get insights from other people who can tell you this is what you need to do, what next, this is what you need to do. But if you don't build that story and it doesn't get progressively larger and you don't build that platform up to see it, you're missing out on the process, and it's going to be short-lived either way.
There it is, man. We appreciate all of you all for stopping by. Once again, we want to thank Illinois Media School. If you're trying to make a career in media, make sure you visit them at www.beonair.com. They were the official sponsor. And listen, all my guys and girls out there listening, trying to get into this business, these people that we have assembled here did not have to be here. They took time out their day to drop some gems on y'all. And I want y'all to look at their backgrounds. You want to be like Amir and have an art museum in your home. You want to be like Day One and Jamal Smalls and have plaques on the wall. You want to be like Louis V and have an in-house studio set up, replicated just like the studios in Atlanta. Or if you just want to walk outside Tuma and pick fresh coffee beans, make fresh coffee, because he probably has a full-grown coffee tree in his garden. Or if you just want to be like my girl Tamara and turn around and go outside and it's a palm tree outside. These are the people to listen to. See, I see the palm tree in the back. I'm peeping game. Okay. I want the art gallery like a middle. So yeah, he's in. You can't touch nothing in that room. Man, don't go in there. Keep your ears out of there. Hey, we appreciate y'all, man. God bless y'all. Make sure y'all keep listening to 107.5 WGCI and listen to all my people across the country and especially right here in Chicago. You see something in these streets, say something, please. Appreciate you. Love.